Life is all about experiences, some of our own and some that we gauge from others. With every experience, you alone are painting your own canvas, thought by thought, choice by choice. A cheerful afternoon and a splashful holy to each one of you. Cheers to popping colors of positivity in your life's canvas. Let's make it more exciting and knowledgeable with today's session. I, Mahima Sindhi, on behalf of the entire MMDU family, extend a hearty welcome to each one of you to our series of live sessions where we bring expert professionals and celebrated artists on board to share their pearls of wisdom and their juices of life experiences to learn from. In the words of Mark Zuckerberg, today I think we look at the internet, but in the future, you are going to actually be in the experiences yourself. With the metaverse at our fingers click, we are transitioning from viewing a 2D world looking at the internet to living inside the internet in the 3D world. So let us get to know more about metaverse and its future opportunities and virtually taste the fruits of life voyage of none other than the emerging technologies expert, a TEDx speaker, a keynote speaker on cybersecurity, data protection and metaverse, Mr. Saakshar Duggal. We will have sir on the screen after a short break.
पापा ये थोड़ा मेरी तरफ से।
ओ बेटा बाप को पैसे दे रहा है।
अरे नहीं पापा, इट्स जस्ट अ थैंक्स।
किस बात का?
वो आपने कहा था ना, कहाँ पढ़ना है वो फैसला बड़ा होता है। जिंदगी के 4 साल का सवाल नहीं, सवाल पूरी जिंदगी का है।
Maharishi Markandeeshwar deemed to be University, Maulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
Can I request the backend team to have sir on the screen, please? Hello, sir. Warm greetings. How are you?
All well. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for such a warm introduction.
I think it's an absolute pleasure for all of us to have you and sharing the platform, of course. So let me take this opportunity to formally introduce you to the audience. So, Mr. Saakshar Duggal is an emerging technologies expert and a practicing advocate at Delhi High Court and advisor academic outreach at Cyber Law University. Mr. Duggal has delivered talks on various distinguished forums such as the United Nations headquarters, Geneva, Switzerland, International Conference on Metaverse and Law Opportunities and Challenges, organized by Cyberspace, participant and attendee of the first session of United Nations Ad Hoc Committee, coordinator CABC, that is Center Against Cyberbullying, facilitator of thematic workshop entitled Roundtable on Cyber Law, Cybercrime and Cybersecurity, organized by cyberlaws.net and Pavan Duggal Associates Advocates, under the aegis of the International Conference on Cyber Law, Cybercrime and Cybersecurity at the ITU WSIS Forum 2022, speaker at the Asia Pacific Region Internet Governance Forum, Greater Noida, Uttar Pradesh, keynote speaker at International Conference on Cyber Law, Cybercrime and Cybersecurity for many consecutive years, addressed the members of the Malaysian judiciary, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and the list just goes endless. I think I will get tired, but the list is not going to stop. Yeah. So, sir, his recent TEDx talk highlighted the emerging crucial challenges at Metaverse. He also happens to be a distinguished author of the book entitled Cybercrimes During COVID-19 and Legal Issues in India. Sir has been an active addresser at various schools in India on how children and teenagers can protect themselves from the ill effects of cyberbullying and has been telecasted on various Indian TV channels. So let us discover some insights of his inspiring journey. Sir, we'll have a questionnaire round and via that we'll get to know more and more. So
Sure.
let's begin. So the first question that I have for you is the word metaverse. We know it's a buzzword and we all, the transition from Facebook to metaverse was huge, specifically for people who are that old school and they always wanted Facebook as their first click, right? So metaverse, unlike the universe, became the most hyped technology buzzword. Around the time Facebook rebranded itself as Meta, there has been no shortage of visionaries, pioneers, and entrepreneurs lining up to tell us what they think about it. And who knows, maybe some of them have actually got it right. So, what is your say on this particular word and the hype, and what? How do you look about it?
Well, first of all, let's understand what is metaverse. So, like we have all seen films like Avatar, right? It
Yeah,
was a huge film that came in the recent times. And what happens in this movie, right? There is another world where a human being has his or her own avatar, right? So
yeah,
the same goes for metaverse. Metaverse is like a whole universe. Okay, it's not a world, it's a whole. Just imagine it like a universe. So in a universe, we have different planets, right? So similarly, in the metaverse, it's a virtual universe, and we have
Right.
different planets. So different planets of what? Different planets of different companies. For example, Facebook will have a planet, Google will have a planet, Amazon will have a planet, and depending upon the strengths of their respective businesses, they will have this planet. For example, if Google's strength is in in technologies and maybe it's product like Google Meet. So
Yeah.
right now, what happens? Right now, okay, we can access to Google Meet. How we have a laptop and we can access from Zoom, Google
Right.
Meet, whatever. But now just imagine if you have a VR set. We have these VR goggles right now, but I'm sure in the future we will have convenient VR goggles like this. So if you're
Yeah.
just wearing it and straight away you're there in the meeting.
In the
So there is
virtual. Yeah.
no, you don't need any, any device, and that actually enhances the user experience. You have your own virtual avatar, and as well as your peers and your respective acquaintances have their avatars, and you're in the meeting and you can interact with them. So this might sound a bit, this might not sound very special, but if you understand it properly, everything increases, right? Your user experience increases, your productivity increases. A lot of times, for example, today we want to have meetings. So if the person is living far by, maybe he or she is in Bangalore, I'm in Delhi. So we take, okay, let's have a Zoom or everything like that. But in Zoom also, the problem is that yes, you are there interacting, but after a point of time, you lose interest, right? You lose
Yeah.
interest because at the end of the day, you're sitting in front of a screen. But
Yeah.
if you're in the metaverse, you and maybe your friend, you can decide to meet somewhere. You are in that virtual world, and straight away you can interact with them. And as well as right now, definitely the technology is evolving, but sooner or later we will also have some sensory suits. So if you are actually shaking hands with your friend
You
in the
feel that on
metaverse,
your
you
hand.
can feel that sensations,
Yeah,
right? So
that's
it will just enhance every user experience that we have ever imagined till now.
I think that's wonderful, and that's a very simplistic, definition of metaverse that I have heard so far since the rebranding happened. Because everybody has given an information. In fact, if I go search on the Oxford Dictionary, also the definition of the word metaverse is too complicated for a common man to actually understand what is that really means. So I think this is a very simplified way of telling what exactly is metaverse, and like you said, it is going to increase that personal touch of communication that we miss in the virtual world, right? So if you and I were to sit on a cup of tea for a meeting, I think that would be a greater influence in terms of having it online, and then having it in VR, it is like a similar effect. I think that's amazing, sir. So, moving on to the next question, in one of the Forbes articles, it was written that people are pieces of software called avatars, since we talked about avatars. They are those audio-visual bodies in use, ready to communicate with each other in the metaverse. So, how true is that according to you? And do you think it can be a reality when we are talking about metaverse, AI, VR, and then we have those people in the villages as well who sometimes do not have an access to the phone as well, getting them to understand and create their avatar. So how do you look up to this one?
See, every time you see a technology, it's very simple.
Yeah.
Whenever there is a new technology that has come, so what happens exactly? Number one is that technology comes, it's new for a lot of people. Just a minute, I'm just facing
Yeah,
some
no issues.
glitch. Just a second.
Meanwhile, for the audiences, if you have any questions, since we're going to explore more about metaverse, the future opportunities one can have. I know there are a lot of students who are tech geeks and they want to explore the tech world. So you can keep throwing your options and your questions in the comment section. We'll keep addressing it as in how possible. Yes, sir.
Extremely sorry, some
No
technical
issues.
glitch was there.
No
Yeah.
issues.
So whenever we talk about a new technology, what happens? That new technology comes. It's just, if you see, it's a simple trend. If I take an
Yeah.
example of social media wave that
Hmm.
came, right? All these apps like Facebook,
Yeah.
Orkut, slowly gradually things like WhatsApp, Snapchat also came. But what
Yeah.
happened exactly? They came. Some people understood. Some people, and in fact, not. If I say out of 100, 15 to 20 people, 15 to 20% of the people they understood. But
Yeah.
80% of the people they were more like that. Okay, this is a marketing gimmick. This will not
Hmm.
work. This and that. See, a lot of times, yes, every technology that is coming, it's not necessary that that technology will be successful. But if the
Hmm.
basis of that technology is clear, then that technology will definitely be successful. What are the bases? If that technology is efficient to use, if
Hmm.
that is user friendly, and if it's making your life simpler. If these three things are there, then definitely that technology will be a super hit. If not today, then tomorrow. So the same thing
Absolutely.
happens with social media. If you know, I would have talked about in 2004 or 5 that okay, there is this thing like Orkut. So a lot of people understood, but if I talk about people who are in the villages, they would not have understood all the kind of technologies, right? What is internet, what is social media, and everything. But look at
Yeah.
now, after 20 years, almost 20 years,
Yeah.
people in the villages they know very well about Facebook. They know what is WhatsApp. Even if people who have never used it, still they know what exactly it is. They have at least they have a rough sort of an idea. So the same goes for things like technologies like metaverse. So metaverse, yes. See, with every step in the future, there will be some technology which might be quite overwhelming in the sense where
Correct.
that we may think that okay, this won't work. This is too
Yeah.
too imaginary
Too good
right
to
now.
be
This
true.
can't
Yeah.
too good to be true. Exactly.
Right.
So the metaverse is that thing, and if I'm definitely you can't expect wonders happening in just a year, but
Hmm.
yes, slowly and gradually, 5, 10, 15 years, metaverse can't replace your physical reality. That's for sure. But
Right.
as I gave the example of social media is there. It is impacting your life significantly. It has not replaced your physical life, but now it's an even important. It's a much more important part of your life, right? If I
Exactly.
exclude social
Right.
media from your life and if I exclude internet, then that would create a huge void.
It would.
The same goes for metaverse. If metaverse will come slowly and gradually, people will start to adapt to the metaverse. And once, since a metaverse will make your life efficient, it will make you more productive, it will enhance user experience. So
Yeah.
therefore, once it is there, it will be difficult. We call this as that stickiness of the brand, of the technology that we call. So
Right.
once it creates the stickiness in terms of its use, then definitely things like metaverse are not going anywhere. In fact, and according to a lot of statistics, about 35 in the future there will be 30 to 35% jobs will be coming from the metaverse only. So
Yes.
just imagine if
Yeah.
almost one third of the jobs are coming from the metaverse, then definitely this technology has a lot to offer and a lot to be discovered too.
Absolutely. And I think to add on to the example of jobs that Metaverse would create, I remember viewing a lot of episodes from Shark Tank India season 2, because again, that's again a buzz and people in India want to know what exactly is the entrepreneurial journey. And I love them, when I see those people who completely did not know the meaning of the word business except for knowing, how it is done in a very traditional way. Because for quite a time we've always had that joint Hindu family business in the run, and then came entrepreneurship, partnership, and all of that, right? And then today we have a lot of unicorns and all of that happening. So I remember a lot of them telling that there was a lot of branding that was done via the Facebook groups that the people have, and that's how they were able to brand their product and take it to next level, and they were getting orders. So one of this brand, I remember there were two girls helping their father who had almost shut his business. So they did all their branding from a Facebook group, and that's how they grew their business. So like you said, it is up to your advantage. How do you take up to the technology? Because I see usually people have a lot of resistance whenever there's something new. Either there'll be a lot of hype and almost everybody will try it, that the site or the system might crash, that there are so many users trying to do it. Or sometimes I see it a vice versa thing, wherein they think it to be too good to be true, so they'll think it's a fraud, it's a scam, it might take away all your data, and then a lot of concerns about protection and a lot of that. So again, it is to your advantage how do you take it. So moving on to the next question. Stephen Hawking is known for his intelligence, creativity, and groundbreaking work in physics, cosmology, black holes, and well, the theory of everything. So he said intelligence is the ability to adapt to change, because we are talking about change, resistance in country like India. Oh, you can't deal with that sometimes. So we all are different, but we share the same human spirit. So do you think it's in the human nature that we adapt and survive, or is there a science involved behind the same? Or is
Well,
it
that's a
some
fantastic.
magic that the companies create that somehow we get to try it out?
Well, this is a fantastic question. Why? Because this actually highlights one of the most important things of technology. What is it? Well, this is for every student, every professional who wants to make a career in technology or is there in the technology space. I always say that if you are in the technology space, you have to understand human psychology. That
Yeah.
sounds very contrary, right? That, okay, one is technology, one is human psychology. These two are very different things. But if you understand human behavior, human psyche, psychology, then you will get to know as to what kind of a product you want to make, what kind of impact the technology will have, and you can actually predict the future, because at the end of the day that technology will exist, which actually makes our life simple and efficient.
Right.
So if
Absolutely.
your user is happy, then the technology will have a long run in the future.
Hmm.
So if I talk about intelligence, yes, adaptability is the key. If you see a small example, earlier, when the dot com bubble came, yes, the dot com bubble was, see, whenever something new comes, there are both pros and cons. The good
Yeah.
part was that, okay, internet companies are rising, new opportunities are coming, the world is interconnected now and everything.
Hmm.
But the con was that things like dot com bubble were also coming. That, okay, a lot of companies who just had internet, they were internet based companies, they were getting random funding without any,
Hmm.
without any basis or anything. So see, and after the dot com bubble, a lot of companies, they shut down, they were lost. But
Hmm.
the few companies whose basics were right, for example, Google, Facebook, Amazon, they are still here, right? And they are actually ruling now. Why? Number one, they were adaptable enough to understand the technology. Whether it's a company, whether it's an individual, everyone has to change with times. If you can't change with time, then I'm sorry to say that after a point, you'll have to take a U-turn. Either you
Yeah.
will face the brunt or you'll adapt to it. So intelligence, when I talk about technology space, is to understand new technologies. See, understanding and accepting are two different things. If a new concept is coming, for example, metaverse, even if you don't believe in this idea of metaverse, still I would say at least have an idea of it, as to
Correct.
what it means. Because sometimes, on the face of it, we might see like a marketing gimmick that, okay, this won't work. But if you slowly, gradually understand the technology, maybe you'll find the grounds on the basis on which actually this technology works. Number one. Number two, what kind of future prospect this technology has. And if
Yeah.
you find that, definitely you can, see the pathways of new businesses that will be coming, new opportunities that will be coming to this
Hmm.
technology. So at the end of the day, understand everything. Your GK should be intact, but
Correct.
yes, believe on those where you actually feel that some future is there. So intelligence is basically enhancing your knowledge every single day and having an open
Hmm.
mind.
I think that's a very right example, because, like you said before, it's like taking a step. At least have an overpoint of the same thing. You never know, tomorrow everything shuts and it's only metaverse. You never know, the technology might rule that day, and then you would keep wondering कि ये क्या हो गया और ये कैसे हो गया, है ना? So it's better that before that kind of thing happens, you're at least aware, and don't let the technology outdate you. You should be at least adept with whatever is happening. And I think there's a great example to it as well. When everything started happening online, today we see, if I see a random hawker also passing by in my lane, I see him having a Paytm. But then there were times when the real banks, those banking people who've been working for 20-25 good years in the bank, they were so resistant to online banking. But then it was either to adapt to the same or leave the job, because they had a lot of new lot coming up who were very quick to grasp on the technology and surpass that experience whatever they had. It's about skill over the experience sometimes. And then they had to so stuff, they cribbed, they used to cry, rant all day, yet do it. And then now then we have them and they are an expert in their field now. So it's about getting ahead with the times. If the time is running, everything is running, you also have to take, even if it's a baby step, you have to move. Yeah. So, moving on to the next question, the declaration of COVID-19 pandemic forced humanity to rethink how to teach and learn. And your book also talked about, lots in terms of the metaverse and how can technology take a boon and all of that. So, metaverse, a 3D digital space mixed with the real world and the virtual world, has been heralded as a trend of future education with great potential. So, do you think government schools should implement this trend for government schools? Can we do it as well? And also, is it economically and practically possible there?
Well, number one is definitely there's no doubt that we have to implement it. But
Hmm.
yes, the challenge is that at this point it's not easy, because at the end of the day, metaverse is still at its infancy stage. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. If you at least were equipped with the knowledge and trends, then
Hmm.
definitely as soon as things are viable, as soon as things are efficient enough. As I said, for example, right now there are huge VR sets, right? I always
Hmm.
give an example of the phone. When the phone first came, there were huge phones, right? Huge phones.
Yes.
And slowly and gradually now we have these smartphones which are quite convenient, slim,
Compact, yeah.
and they are user friendly, right? Compact. Same goes for metaverse. Right now we have huge, VR sets, and after a lot of people are complaining also, like after wearing VR sets for half an hour, 45 minutes, they are facing headaches and stuff. But slowly and gradually, technology will, it will be become more efficient, and we will
Correct.
have sets like these, like normal
Right.
classes. Once you
Right.
have those, and number one is this. Number two, see, why are companies working so hard on making these VR sets? Because at the end of the day, they want to make a product that they want to sell, right? If they don't
Correct.
want to sell, then why are they even wasting their
Making it
money,
unsafe.
time, and effort, right?
Right.
So once the company makes it, whatever whosoever company is working on this, there are different companies, but whosoever is successful in making the most efficient model, then
Hmm.
definitely that will be on sale. And if
Right.
that's on sale, that's fine. See, these kind of factors are not in our hand. What is in our
Right.
hand is that at least we should be aware as to what kind of developments are happening. If we know
Hmm.
that okay, this company, we are aware of the fact that okay, this company has launched some product regarding this, then we should be very much efficient and proactive enough to actually adapt those as soon as possible. Because see, if you see metaverse in the education space, I think it's one of the most education sector will be the most privileged one when I talk about the metaverse. Why? Because for example, I'll give you a simple example. We used to study history, right? See,
Right.
any subject in school which we used to study, and any student who used to find it boring was because there was no interest of that student, right? Even if the person was not interested, but the
Right.
type of the way through which the class was taken was not so interactive or was not so interesting enough for the student. So
Correct.
now just imagine a subject like history, where a lot of people hate history, right? A lot of children, they don't like history. You are reading from the books, I can understand it can become super boring. But just imagine if you are maybe you're learning about the Indian independence, and rather than reading, you're actually watching it in front of you. See, right
Hmm.
now, even if we are watching films, a lot of it will get registered, right? It creates a
Correct.
huge impact. But just imagine you are actually there. You are one of the characters, and you can actually see the whole partition happening, here
Yeah.
and there. So that the kind of impact that we create on the students will be immense. So things like these, as you said, that if we should implement this, definitely, if you are able to implement this, then you will know, you can definitely imagine as to what kind of a user experience and the kind
Yeah.
of impact the metaverse technology can have in the education space.
Absolutely. And I'm already imagining that, and it felt as if there was a telepathy that transferred and you read my mind. As a child, I hated history. I think that was the most hated subject that I had. And the only reason my grade 10 boards had a lower score was because I couldn't score well in history. My history teacher would hate me when she sees it on Facebook. I have a great connection with all my teachers, but then I never liked it. I'm sure she taught it very well, but I, as a learner, was not the right kind, because you have different kind of learners. Not everybody is go read through the book and then just mug it up. There was a lot of information, and there was a lot of stats and facts that were fed, and I always wondered, why am I doing it? But then, like you said, if you have an experience, if you are there, and if you have a student who does not have, let's say, zero interest in whatever is being taught, so at least when you put that person in that particular situation, if nothing, he'll remember his environment, the space, and whatever was happening. So there'll be some indelible ink that will be left on his brain, and I'm sure then things will become more easy and interesting. So I think that's a great one. And if education can have metaverse that simplified at the click of the mouse, like we have Google Meet, Zoom, StreamYard, and all of that, I think life will become so simple and interesting for sure. So, moving on to the next question, we'd want to know if the Indian military and armed forces needs a metaverse, because we are talking about getting into the real reality, game simulation. We've talked about a lot of it. So, the US Air Force utilizes VR to teach pilots how to control aircraft. Hence, the concept of military metaverse is not new. So, what is your take on it? Can we implement the same in India? Because we are talking about government schools, and then economy, and then cost of making, and then getting it to the right user. So, what is your call on the same thing?
Well, I always say that whenever I'm sure many of us are Marvel fans, we have watched films like Iron Man, Black Panther. So if you've seen those films, these kind of technologies are there when actually the person is sitting, in his or her room, and can actually, fight here and there, and is actually in the action zone, right? So if I talk about the military space, yes, definitely another space where metaverse has a huge role to play. Why? Because you can actually train yourselves. Right now, also, yes, we have physical trainings are there for military armed forces, but still, we can go on the next level where actually the person is in the war zone. Because at the end of the day, we can right now in the physical world we can try to create a war zone, but the person is actually not in the war zone, right? Not 100%. But
Correct.
imagine the person is actually 100% in the war zone, then actually his training, his skills, his thinking ability, everything can be enhanced. So, and I'm sure that in defense will be one of the first industries where metaverse will come properly. Why? Because if you see things like AI, see AI is ahead of metaverse, no doubt on that, because AI revolution started about 5 to 6 years back. Yes, things like ChatGPT has come now, but a lot of developments were taking place for the past 5 to 6 years. And things like drones. What is a drone? Drone is also a part of AI, right? So things like any new technology will first go in the most important sectors. And as we all know, armed forces and defense is one of the most important sectors. And
Absolutely.
that's why coming number one, it will go there at the priority basis. Number two, it will enhance the skills and thinking capacities of our respected
Correct.
soldiers.
Correct. And I think more like that, like it's about training a pilot. We can't give the pilot a direct plane and tell them to fly and make a crash. We can't get that. So at least a simulation or a gamification like that works wonders. And even when we train students in the universities, we usually talk about games and simulation in the maximum way possible to get them at least the first hand experience. I mean, you can't directly get into the right experience and then make it a fight or a flight kind of situation. That's not possible. But then, of course, VR is something that is always to the rescue. So, moving on to the next question, according to the Forbes report, with the metaverse concept predicted to add $5 trillion to the value of global economy by the year 2030, there's everything to play for, and 2023 is likely to be a key year of defining the directions it will take. Metaverse as a new marketing channel. So, what kind of future can we foresee in the year 2023 in terms of marketing and branding?
Well, as the stats are clear that within 7 years, it will be what, some trillions and dollars of economy. Like,
Yeah.
metaverse is just rise. Yes, metaverse was there, it was existing, but officially the metaverse wave actually started in 2020
Yes.
because COVID came. A lot of
Correct.
people got to know what is metaverse, and a lot of by chance, a lot of companies also they started to work in this metaverse
Hmm.
space. So this basically created it became a hype, right?
Correct.
So as the years are passing, the metaverse will only grow. That's for sure. But things like maybe I'll give you another example. I'm giving these examples because people will understand why metaverse is
Yes.
important in
Correct.
different sectors of life. For
Mhm.
example, if today you want to buy a shoe, okay, what do? You go to a shop, you try it, right? If you're on Amazon, what do? You just go on the product review. If you want to buy something, you may see the picture of the product, and that's how you make your decision. Now, just imagine you're sitting at home. Sorry, you just imagine you're sitting at home. You want to buy a shoe or anything at home only. If you can just see the shoe, right? If you can just feel the shoe, that okay, I can try the shoe and how it looks. What kind of product is this? I'm sure if many of you must have watched movies like Iron Man. There
Yeah.
it actually shows these kind of technologies that the person sitting in his or her room and he can see the product in the visual
Correct.
form definitely.
3D
But
photo.
that's
Yeah.
how now you see the kind of user experience it will increase. Number one. Number two, efficiency is increased. You don't have to go to any stores. You're sitting home, relaxed. Number three, you can make decisions quickly. So time is
Yeah.
saved, energy is saved, productivity is increased. So things like these will come and they will increase. And if definitely if trends of metaverse are will be accompanied by these big companies. For example, if big and famous companies like Amazon or Google, they are bringing some features of the metaverse. If
Hmm.
they bring in those in their normal working, then definitely the hype and the trust on metaverse will increase. For example, if Amazon today brings any one feature which includes metaverse, then suddenly a lot of people they will trust metaverse. That okay, now this is a huge technology because Amazon is a huge company. They are investing in it. They have brought this thing. And why am I giving example of Amazon? Because Amazon's whole business basics lie on customer satisfaction, right? They are standing there on the top because of their policy of customer satisfaction.
Correct.
And if
Correct.
I marry metaverse and businesses, then the biggest benefit of businesses will have from metaverse is increased user experience and customer satisfaction. So I'm sure
Absolutely.
definitely in the coming years, metaverse will only increase and increase.
And I think the next question was actually to ask if it will be a big hit or a big flop. So I think the answer is already there. It's going to be a big hit, and it's come to grow big and take people along with the greater journey that it has come for, right? So because we are talking about the metaverse and the user experience, so metaverse can be an efficient tool for medical professionals as well, right? And enabling remote monitoring and prescribing telemedicine for patients with an unlimited access to medical treatment. So the popularity of the use of telemedicine during the COVID-19 pandemic was a testimony of its efficacy. So do you think it to be a boon or a bane for the healthcare industry?
Well, definitely, as I always say, everything has, every coin has its two sides. One is the
Yeah.
pro, one is the con. Yes, definitely, the pro is that, as we were talking about the armed forces, that they will get the live experience.
Hmm.
In the case of healthcare professionals, also, if for example, if I have to perform a surgery, then
Yeah.
definitely through metaverse I can, get a hands-on experience on that. That's
Hmm.
fine, that's great. But a con is that when you rely totally upon, technology. For example, today, internet, if someone is using internet, then the person can actually create wonders. And at the same time, the internet can also act as the biggest villain in one's life. If one is not, if one is searching in the wrong direction. Therefore, the same goes for metaverse. Yes, use it efficiently, properly, that's great. But if you're totally dependent on it, then, like, I'll give you a simple example. If, for example, today 40 students are there in class,
Hmm.
and if you have metaverse and like you have practicals, right, in schools and colleges. So
Correct.
one practical class is there where every student will be given hands-on experience on the metaverse surgery.
Hmm.
They will be given a metaverse environment and they can perform a surgery. For example, if one student is absent for whatever reason, he or she is not there, and that person has not performed that surgery at all in the metaverse platform,
Hmm.
then one thing is there, if the student is completely, dependent upon the technology, then that person will be scared, because now he or
Correct.
she will feel that, okay, I can't do anything when I'll be facing
Exactly.
the actual reality. But that's the problem. If in today's times there are no technologies like metaverse, right? Maybe our fathers, grandfathers who were doctors, they performed it hands-on with study, and I'm sure they never had efficient experiences beforehand. They straight away had to go in the war zone. That is the straight away they had to perform surgeries, right? So the
Exactly.
point that I'm trying to make here is that even if, another example, ChatGPT. Yes, ChatGPT can make your life simple, easier, efficient. That's great. But if you just rely on ChatGPT, then your own critical thinking skills, your own creativity will go for a six. I think it's
Exactly.
very important to maintain a balance between the efficient use of the new technology as well as your own skills.
Absolutely. And I think my question was to talk about Chat GPT, because today morning only my TOA application showed me an article on Chat GPT which said that schools are actually very, very worried that Chat GPT is increasing the habit of cheating and copying and then killing on the thinking and logistical skills and all of that of the students, right? So, like you said, you can't be totally dependent on the same. Things have to be done via you. It is just a platform to make things easy for you. For example, a teacher or a trainer in the class, we tell them that we are not here to feed you. So when students ask me what is the right or wrong for an interview, I tell them there's no right or wrong answer for an interview. I can facilitate you via a right direction. But then whatever you say, if you can justify, you hold true to whatever you've said, you can make it through, right? So in the similar manner, you can't completely rely on technology, because once you become so habitual, or say, let's say, dependent, you will get addicted. And once you get addicted, this will stop working. It will stop for sure. And then once you're in a real time situation, not in the VR or the metaverse, you'll not know what to do, right? And I think it might somewhere cause people, some lack of confidence and all of that as well, because they all time are in the virtual space, and then when they meet those real people, and if they lose that touch, it might be problematic. So moving on to the last question for the session, the very important question, because you've been addressing about cyber bullying, data protection, and all of that for quite a while, and we all have faced that. I think almost everybody has faced that once or the other. So people will start living in a world that is not in existence, and a concept too hard to explain to the masses who aren't yet exposed to the Internet of Things. People they meet and things they see in the metaverse are fake and artificial also at times. So what if someone commits a crime in the virtual world? Is it a serious concern? Because we've seen a lot of internet bullying cases happening, lot of fraud and lot of hacking that has happened. And once you figure out who's the hacker, they are those little children thinking they are kings behind the screen, but have no courage to come outside. And once they come outside, it's like a complete shocker, right, for everybody, including the officials. So do you think it will be a major challenge in the future as well?
Well, definitely, it is a major future challenge, but I'll just give you an example to let you know a trend that generally takes place. See, if 15 to 20 years back, if someone would have told you that, okay, Mahima, someone has not accepted your friend request, is it a big deal? Okay. Or number two, someone is just passing rude comments online to you. Is that a big deal? you might have answered that, okay, it's not a big deal, that's fine, I'm sitting here, he or she can't do anything about me, and I'm fine, right? So that doesn't matter. But now fast forward it to 15 to 20 years from now. Okay, now just look at it. If someone doesn't accept your friend request or declines it, we actually make a character judgment of that person, right? That, okay,
Yeah.
that person is so egoistic, that person is so rude. Number one. Number two is that if today a concept like cyberbullying, trolling, that's a huge concept, right? Because that actually takes a toll on your mental health. So
It
that's a
does.
big thing now. The same goes for things like in Metaverse. In Metaverse, a few months back, a lady in UK, she just logged into the Metaverse, and within 5 minutes, her avatar was raped. So
Okay.
a few people actually they might think that, okay, that doesn't matter, right? The person, the respected lady is fine sitting at her home. It's only her avatar, right? But now there are two things. Number one is, yes, her mental health.
It's the
If
mental
trolling,
trauma that she went through.
yeah,
Yeah.
if trolling can do such huge harm to you,
Yes.
imagine the kind of experience the horrific experience the person would be facing at
Correct.
this case. Number two is, once the metaverse will become more formalized, this is my personal opinion, I'm 100% sure that one is our physical identity. The second is we will actually be having our own virtual identity as well. This is not a
Correct.
game that, okay, if your
Correct.
character is out, you can just reload and you can come again. No, you will actually have a significant virtual reality, and whatever, if that virtual your virtual avatar gets hit,
Correct.
online, or whatever it happens, any hack is done, your identity will go for a six. Physically you have, okay, physically you have the reality, but in reality you are existing, right? But what, imagine, like another example if I can give you, uh, we have heard a lot of cases where the person is actually live, okay, but he or she is not has no records of his or her properties, anything. That property exists, that person exists, but still we have no proof that actually that person is the owner of that respective property.
Right.
Now
Very
just
true.
similarly, just imagine it in the metaverse. In metaverse, you hold some virtual assets, you have a virtual avatar. If your virtual avatar is out for whatever reason, maybe it's hacked, someone has killed it, whatever has
Correct.
happened, now there are no proofs that actually those virtual assets which you have actually got, right, from proper money, that exist, but you are not the owner. You will see, you can you can shout and say that, okay, physically I exist, but there are no proofs, right?
Exactly.
Virtually you have no existence. So that's
Correct.
what it is, and crimes will actually increase. See, wherever new technology comes, then the con is that cyber criminals are also waiting for the technology, right? Because they know that it's a fertile ground to attack everyone. They know every person will be attracted here, and that's why it will become a ground where we can attack everyone. In COVID-19, similar thing happened. Cyber
Yes.
criminals knew we are all on the internet. That's why these crimes increase significantly.
Increase. Yes. That's very
So
true.
therefore, I personally believe that in metaverse, if not anything, that at least some universal set of rules and
That's
regulations
very
should be,
important as well. Correct.
because at the end of the day, different countries, see, every country has their different speeds, right? Today, Dubai is going super fast when I talk about metaverse. Maybe other countries are a little slow, but at least there should be some standardization, some standard processes and regulations, some basic regulations which can actually be
Absolutely.
followed, so that some law and order could be maintained. Because if in the metaverse, just imagine metaverse without law and order, then
It's going to be a
it
chaos.
can be a huge havoc. Right, exactly. It will be a huge chaos in our lives, and therefore creating law and order, similar, in the initial days of the metaverse becomes quite important.
Absolutely. And the ground, if the foundation is very strong, people will have trust. But if the foundation stands shaky and these kind of incidents keep get reported more and more, people will get scared to the to the T, and then they will not try it out as well,
Right,
because
right.
the kind of people we are surrounded with, they'll not try it only. They'll be like, we don't want to grow our business. Hum khush hai, jitna hai utne mein khush hai. I've heard people say that, and then they won't try it at all. So, sir, one loud message you'd like to give to the tech geeks: how can they make their future in metaverse and the opportunities, and with AI, we're surrounded with all of that. So, one loud message you'd like to give to them: what should they do and what should they keep in their mind?
Well, this message is for every student, irrespective of their background, irrespective of their age, irrespective of their interests. For every student, for every professional, please have some, enhance your GK with the upcoming trends. Because at the end of the day, technology is one thing that will actually impact the future. Yes, there are a lot of different things as well, But if I just talk about technology, it becomes quite significant in your respective businesses, your jobs, in running the economy and everything, right? And technology like metaverse has the potential to impact every single aspect of your life, whether it's your personal life, your professional life, your interests, your working, your habits, anything. Metaverse can either make it or break it. So that's why understanding this technology, at least the basics of it, number one. Number two, understand how metaverse is impacting your respective profession. Maybe you are in the real estate space. Maybe you are a doctor. Maybe you are an artist. Don't be complacent that okay, metaverse will not impact our our respective professions, right? If, and not even metaverse, any new technology, whether it's metaverse or artificial intelligence, you should know how are they impacting your respective profession. Number one. Number two, how are they actually? How can you leverage these technologies? Because see, only two things will happen. Either the technology will take over your job, or either you can leverage that technology to actually enhance your skills and make your life a bit simpler. So that's what it is. Understand it, and once you understand it, then definitely in the future you know properly as to what are the different trends that are actually taking place and how you can leverage future trends and future technologies to your respective professions.
Absolutely. I think that's a wonderful example. It is on you. How do you use it? Whether you use it for your benefit or to let you replace you. That can't happen 100%, but that might as well happen. So I must admit, sir, that your life journey and your successful achievements in your career speaks volumes about your work. We've all had plenty of takeaways and actionables to take home. This was such an informative session, and I think it has actually evolved people to get more into, it might have surely arisen that curiosity to look at the internet and now search what more to the metaverse, right? So, wishing you huge success, love, and luck your way. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, ma'am. Thank you.